Hello, welcome to Debut Wednesday on Cracking the Cryptic. No, that's not a thing. It's just that this is a debut and this is a Wednesday. And this is a puzzle by Petra Berry called Constraint Quadratum. And I think it's significant for being a very intriguing implementation of an anti-bishop rule. We've had various efforts at anti-bishop rules. I think people feel the bishop got missed out a bit in Sudoku terms. Although, of course, the rook is ever present. But this is very interesting. There are no bishops in the 7x7 center of this. There are no bishops. There are no diagonal repeats in the 7x7 part of this grid, the grey part. And I didn't know that could be done. What I did know, and I don't think Petra Berry knew from their email to us, they had discovered that you cannot fully populate a 9x9 grid without any diagonal repeats. And I think somebody has established, and I want to say it might be Philip Newman or Ranks, because they did a lot of the early theorizing around things like this. But it might actually have been Trevor Tower. Somebody established about 2, maybe 3 years ago, that the most number of digits you can have in a Sudoku grid without any of those digits having a repeat in any diagonal is 6. And I think Ben Needham's original Sudoku hunt had a puzzle in which 6 of the grids were queens in that way. But I was not aware that you could create the internal 7x7 as a no diagonal zone, an NDZ. And it's interesting. I'm intrigued by the discovery. I'm looking forward to solving the puzzle, seeing how much it helps. But this is a puzzle with a negative constraint over the XV rule as well. So there could be a lot of help in this puzzle, even though it's an irregular Sudoku. We will get to that in a minute. I'm really interested in the theory here. How long ago was it? Maybe it was 4 years ago that people were investigating this. And I mean, that sounds like a longer time than 3 years or 2 years. But obviously, Sudoku theory is all very new. And for something to be quite new 4 years ago means that Sudoku theory itself is not very old. And that is true. Anyway, we'll get onto the puzzle in a moment. I do want to mention our Patreon, where there's all sorts of things always going on, including currently the kids' Sudoku hunt. And you can still catch up on the Planet Suite. You can't enter it anymore. And there's our apps as well, where we, of course, have a domino app, which features lots of XV. We haven't done an irregular app. I'm not sure there's a call for it. We'll see. But check out our apps. Check out Sven's Sudoku Pad and the Discord server, our catalogue of our videos. Not our catalogue of our videos, Vebi and Bataku's catalogue of our videos. Anyway, we will look at all that stuff No, we won't. You can look at all that stuff. I'm going to look at this puzzle now and go through the rules. So we don't say normal Sudoku rules apply when we get these irregular regions. Every row, column, and outlined region of the grid contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. An X between 2 cells means that pair of cells must add to 10. A V means they must add to 5. And there is a negative constraint in this puzzle, so those 2 cells cannot add to 5 or 10 because there's no V or X between them. Same with those 2. Within the grey 7x7 square in the grid, no digit can see another of itself diagonally, i.e. a bishop's move in chess. So none of those could be a 9, for instance. For example, yes, okay, well, we've explained that. But you could have a 9 there because the white perimeter is exempt from this rule. It's only within the grey that bishop's rule applies. I think it's a lovely idea. I'm delighted the bishops get a go. Never discriminate against the clergy. That's my advice. The puzzle is called Contritum Quadratum, Contritum Quadratum, which those of you who have done Latin may recognise, I didn't, as broken square. I would have said it sounds like repenting square, but there we go. Maybe if you're repenting, you are broken. Contrite, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, we will worry about the language another time. We will look at this puzzle now. Let's restart the clock and let's get cracking. So, there's a lot of 9s given. can we finish off the 9s? No, I'll tell you what, let's look at 5s. The secret I'm going to let you into about 5s in XV puzzles with negative constraints is that they're quite easy to find sometimes. We can place, for instance, 5 in this row, because 5 can never be on an X or on a V. So I think that has to be 5, because it can't be here because that's in the same region as another 5. Now that can't be 5, and the 5 in this region is in one of those 2 cells. So now none of those are 5 or that. 5 is in one of those 2 cells. Can we keep going? I'm only just noticing there's only one V in this puzzle, which feels weird. Oh yes, let's find a region that has trouble accommodating a 5. This region. No, I don't know. Maybe. Well, I've forgotten the diagonal rule already. It doesn't take me long to forget a chess rule. Ah, that can't be a 5 by a diagonal from there. That can't be a 5 by a diagonal from there. So the 5 in this region is in one of those 2, which is a bit of odd pencil marking. Yes, it really didn't take me long to forget that chess rule, did it? 5 in column 2. Oh no, it could be there, couldn't it? And these are allowable. Okay, maybe 5s wasn't a great idea. Let's try 9s again, because there's so many given 9. Oh, I've got a 9 on an X. I can write in a 1. Ah, okay. Yeah, I've had an idea. Let's keep going with 9s. Right, 9 in this box is in one. Okay, there's those 2 9s. 9 in this box is actually on that X. There are 9s seeing all of these cells by Sudoku, simply enough. So that's a 9-1 pair. Ooh, they just fall outside the bishop rule. Now, what's that going to give me? 9 in this box. No, it can be on. Ah, it can't be on that X now, because that would clash with that cell. You'd have to put 9 and 1 there. 9 can't be in those cells by Sudoku. It can't be in that one by the diagonal rule. Oh, and it can't be in that. Yes, 9 has to be there in this box. That is right. For this weird shaped box, using the diagonal rule for that cell, I think, and the fact that 9 has to go with 1 on an X, I think it gets positioned. Now, let's keep going with 9s. We've got the first 5 columns full of 9s. 9 in the next column can go there and nowhere else, because it would always be on an X with a 1 that it can't be with. Yes, okay. So that's a 9 in column 6. Now, there's 2 more 9s to go in column 7 and 8, and they're in these regions. Well, that's really interesting, because oh, come on, by the diagonal rule, we get it ruled out of there. We get a 9 there, we get a 9 here with a 1. We'll probably do 1s next. We've done all the 9s now. This has become the only place for 5. The pencil marking I did with 5s turned out extremely lucky, because once we removed 5 from there, it had to be here in this region. And now in this box, oh, it can go. Yeah, the perimeter just keeps coming in and messing things up a bit for me. Right, let's use the negative constraint with 1s. So 1 can't be in those cells in this region, and it can't be on an X because we've had the 1 and 9 in the region. Oh, we've got the 1 in the I've got the 1 in the region. Let's use the law of leftovers on this shape. We've got 2 sets of the 1s to 2 sets of the digits 1 to 9 in those 2 regions, but also 2 sets of the digits 1 to 9 in those 2 rows, so that must be the same as that and is a 1. I didn't see many other leftover possibilities. I suppose those two have to be those two. So those two cells will be the same later. I don't feel qualified to know what that is at the moment. Actually, I've had an idea about what I'm going to do with this puzzle. I'm going to uncolour those cells, maybe rediscover that information a bit later. Now, 1 in this region, yes, this is what's shaping my idea about how to tackle the rest of the puzzle. Given that I only have a couple of other digits that aren't 1, 5 and 9 given to me, I'm going to have to box reasonably clever with these other X pairs. This must be a set of 2, 8, 3, 7 and 4, 6. So I know that there's a 1 here in this box. Now, 1 in this column, I bet I can do it. It can't be here because there's no X. Here and here and here it would go with a 9. It's got to be here. And that gives me the only V in the puzzle fulfilled. Now, 1 in this column, I bet I can do this as well, especially using the diagonal rule. Ooh, there's almost nowhere left for it, but I think that is. Yep, putting it in there. Then I've got 2 more 1s in the final columns, and I've got to put 1 in the bottom right box. And then the 1 in this is here, and the diagonal rule seems okay about that. Right. So that's all 1s and 9s done. Now, I have a 2, a 4 and a 6, but what I thought I would do is colour all the other types of digit by X's. So let's start in this box and colour them orange, yellow and bright blue. Now, this pair can't be orange because that would clash with both orange cells. It can't be bright blue. We've filled in all the 1s and 9s in the grid, so it's not a 1, 9. So these orange, yellow and bright blue are the 2, 8, the 3, 7 and the 4, 6. And I reckon I can probably colour the whole grid and then get around to the numbering. I mean, by then, if I do colour the whole grid, these 2, 4 and 6 will end up in orange, yellow or bright blue if my theory is right. But I need to just be careful. Oh, and I didn't finish the 5s, which is weird. Maybe I could have. Maybe I should have finished the 5s before I try this. Yes, I should try and finish the 5s. Why? Because... yeah, because if I don't finish the 5s, I could be colouring cells which have 5 in. So 5 in this region is in one of those two. And that's going to use up the 5s in columns 1 and 2. So, columns 3, 4 and 5, they're done. And this now doesn't have a 5 in any of those cells. So its 5 is there. That doesn't diagonally see anything. This region needs a 5 in the top row in one of those two cells. Can't be on the X. This one's got one here. This region needs a 5 and it can't be there. Is that ruled out by the diagonal? Not yet. It's in one of those, no, one of those 3 cells. But they share the columns with those 2, so that's not a 5. It's a sort of virtual X-wing. We get a 5 up there. Now, does the diagonal rule sort out some of these? And I can't see why. Maybe it doesn't. That's really irritating. Okay, well, let's carry on then with the colouring system that I was going for. This pair can't be orange because they would clash with that cell, and they can't be yellow, so they're bright blue. Now, this cell, I suppose it could be bright blue. Maybe this isn't going to work after all. That's no, look, this can't be bright blue for an interesting reason, because these two, since they can't be the same digit, there'd be one of each bright blue digit and have an X between them if this was bright blue. So this must be yellow. Now, these two are going to be the same colour, because in this region, That's one colour, either orange or blue, and that's another. I don't know which it is though. It's a reasonable observation, but I can't use it. I think that could be yellow, so I'm just going to go a little more carefully. Oh, maybe this technique isn't going to work. I was convinced it would. Ah, look, that can't be blue, because it would leave these two cells to be yellow in the region. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. There's a 6 that I'd forgotten. Those two can't both be yellow. One of them's a 5. Bother. Maybe I'm trying to be too fancy here. Maybe it's not this complicated an endeavour, but I did like this idea. I don't want to give it up quite yet. Oh, those can't be bright blue because they'd have the same issue with X's with the other side. So they're orange. That's bright blue. Now that X has to be yellow. Now we've got one yellow and bright blue here, and the other is a blue in one of those cells. So that's yellow. One of those is blue and one of them is 5. This pair, don't know, but where does orange go in this box? It doesn't go there and there, so those are orange. And therefore one of these is blue and one is yellow. Now I've got 2 oranges in this row. Sounds like a fruit machine. One of these is blue and one is yellow. That's weird. It's true. But it doesn't help. That pair, this pair. Oh, this pair can't be yellow or blue because I've got one of each in the column. So that's orange. That's probably helpful. This has to be blue. Orange cells in this region are in those 2. Why, I don't know. One of that can't be orange. We knew that before. This can't be orange or blue. It's yellow. Blue cells in this region include that one because they can't, because one of these 2 is a 5. So now this 4 is not orange or blue in this column, it's yellow, which figures because we've just made 6 yellow down there, so that's hardly surprising. So let's see if we can fill in the 4s and 6s. Actually, of course, I'd forgotten the anti-V part of the constraint. That's a 6, that's a 4. Over here, the anti-V works here, so we can't have 4 next to 1. Same at the top. Right, that is a decent bit of progress. Now, 4 in this column is in one of those 2 cells, and 6 is in one of those. Oh, I thought this was going to go better with the colouring. It may have been very unnecessary in this puzzle, but I've quite enjoyed it. Blue and 5 are there, so these are blue and yellow. Okay, and this can't be orange. But it could be blue or yellow. This can't be yellow or orange because one of them each has been used up there. So that's blue. This now can't be blue, and we've decided it can't be orange or it would get an X. So that's yellow, that's orange. Now this has to be blue, so that's yellow. So one of these is blue and the other one is a 5. We need a blue in this region, do we? Yes, and it can't be next to the other blue. No, hang on, I must be missing something because I feel like I still need a blue and an orange. 2 is blue or orange. Oh, but it can't be orange because it would be next to another. No, that's not true. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing there, as you can quite clearly tell. That's a blue pair because of its row. That makes this, not that colour, blue. I'm using the wrong blue in a couple of places there. This is yellow because of that blue and that orange pair looking at it. There's 2 orange cells in row 1. There they are. This one might be a 5. This one sees 2 yellow, 2 blue, an orange and a 5. That's orange. This therefore is not orange and it's not yellow. I'm making much heavier weather of this than I hoped. Okay, let's do numbers again in yellow. 6, 4, 6, 4 there. And I've got 6 and a 4 to place in this row, and I must know where they go. They must be here. Yes. So that finishes the yellows. And all the numbers have been put in. Okay, good. Now, 2, 3, 7 and 8 to go in orange and blue. Let's get rid of all the... I don't know, do I get rid of the yellow? Yeah, I will get rid of all the yellow. I've only got blues, oranges and 5s. Maybe I should give 5 a colour, just so I can keep spotting it. And of course 5's got to obey the bishop's rule, but... Oh, and the other colours have to obey the bishop's rule. I don't know how to use that when I haven't placed numbers yet. Okay, what about this 2? Oh, I'll tell you something about that 2. It can't be next to 3 by the X rule. So 3 in this region is in one of those cells. And then 7 can't be in those cells, or there'd be an X between them. So now this is a 5-7 pair, and this is a 3-8 pair, and this puzzle's getting weirder. That is a 2 or a 7. This is definitely not how to solve the puzzle and retain your sanity. Yeah, this cannot... 7 can't be orange, isn't that right? Because one of those is a 7, and they're both touching this cell. So it would either get an X that way, or a 7 clash. Right, orange is not 7, so that's a 2, and we're away. 2 is orange. There we go. That 2 is orange. This is a 3. 3 is blue. Okay, let's see how we do on the numbering now. So, that's an 8. That's covered everything in that region. Let's do 3s and 7s. We've got a 3 there. This mustn't be 7 next to it. That's quite important. So 7 is here and is blue. 5 is there, so this is 5. Oh, trying to get rid of that pencil mark. How are we doing on 5s? Got the first 7 columns covered in 5s. That can't be a 5. Now one of these must suffer from the bishop rule. No, apparently not. That's weird. Okay, don't know. But remaining blues, blue, there's obviously a blue in each of those. We need another blue in this column. It's here. And that must be blue, I think, in the row. Yes, that's true. I don't know why I ended the yellows of the 6s. Anyway, there we go. Right, so now oranges. We've got 2 and 8. Can we use the... Oh, look, I can do blues down here. 7 there, 3 in the same box, 7 in the same row, 3, 7, 3, 7. This is working. 3, 7. Now we need a 3 in there with the 5, and that's a 2-8 pair. Obviously, all oranges 2 and 8. This is a 7. That's 3 and that's 7. And this is a 3-5 pair, just like that down at the bottom. Isn't it? Yes, it is. So that's orange. Now, why aren't these disambiguated by the rule, or are they? Maybe because of here. Okay, 2 and 8. I thought, oh yes, look, they're looking out in their rows. 2 there, 8 there in the box, 2 there. This is going to do it all. 8, 2, 8, 2. I have found this much harder than I expected in a way, especially, I mean, harder than I expected after I'd begun it, when I thought it was going to be very straightforward, and it really hasn't been. Now, somewhere here, this deadly pattern, oh, I was expecting it to be broken up by a 2. That has not happened. Oh, 3 in the corner. That's a very late party. But, oh, 3 on the bishop's move. There, to there. Wow, that's hard. Well, it's probably not if you're keeping an eye on the bishop's move, and I'm not. I didn't get a tick. Have I got something wrong here? I don't think I've got anything wrong. Now, what may have gone wrong is the solution may have got input wrong. Now, what could I possibly have got wrong? I think this is right, but by the time you solve it, that solution will have been corrected if I'm right in thinking that for once the solution has been input wrong. Because I'm pretty confident about this solve, and the way that that last deadly pattern unwound felt very promising to me. I think this is right. I think it's a very clever puzzle, by the way, and it's Control A, get rid of the colours. There we go. That's the solution. Well done if you got it. I don't believe I've got it wrong. But we'll be back with a correction if I did. I didn't. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Petraberry, for sending that. Very clever. Bye for now.